All right, we're going to tackle a pretty stark scenario today, one that just strips away everything we take for granted. We're going to talk about what to do in one of the most terrifying medical emergencies you can imagine, when calling for help just isn't an option.
No, really, think about that. No doctors, no hospitals, no dialing 911. It's just you, what you know, and a life hanging in the balance. That question, that's at the very heart of everything we're about to get into.
You know, in a world without modern medicine, the thing that's most likely to kill you isn't the initial injury. It's the silent, creeping complication that comes after. And that's sepsis.
Yeah, that's all it takes. Anything that breaks the skin becomes an open invitation for infection. In our world, right, we clean it, maybe throw a bandage on it, and we forget about it. But in a world of ash, that tiny little wound, well, it can become a full-blown crisis with terrifying speed.
Now, this is a really critical point to understand. Sepsis isn't the infection itself. It's your own body's immune system going completely haywire. It's a chain reaction that spirals out of control and starts attacking your own tissues and organs. It's like a friendly fire catastrophe happening inside you. And that leads to this. Without IV antibiotics, without hospital support, the mortality rate for what's called septic shock can be over 80%. Let that sink in. This is not a situation you can wait out or tough out. It is an immediate life-or-death emergency.
So how do you even begin to fight back against something like that? Well, you start with the most powerful tool you've got, your brain. Before you can treat anything, you have to be able to recognize it. Your powers of observation, that's your diagnostic lab now. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Knowing the answer is literally the difference between life and death. A simple localized infection is a problem you need to manage. Sepsis is a systemic catastrophe that's already unfolding. So let's break down how you spot that critical shift.
The key here is that you're looking for a constellation of symptoms. It's not just one thing. And notice, it's not just a high fever. It could also be a weirdly low body temperature as the body systems start to fail. The heart and lungs are working overtime. But that one right there, confusion, any change in mental state is a massive, blaring red flag that the body is losing this war.
And this chart just lays out the difference perfectly. See, on the left, you've got a local problem. The fight is happening right at the wound site. But on the right, the battle has gone systemic. The infection isn't contained anymore. The entire body is in a state of absolute chaos. Shivering, shortness of breath, pain everywhere. These are signs the war is being lost, big time.
Okay, so since we can't run to a pharmacy, we have to build what I call an austere apothecary. But this isn't about stocking up on pills. It's about stocking up on knowledge and understanding the fundamental principles of care.
This is the mindset shift. It's everything. We have to move away from relying on a product, like an antibiotic pill, and start relying on a process. The treatments we're talking about are actions, not items you can just grab off a shelf. And that process breaks down into 5 critical actions. 1. You attack the source. You clean that wound like your life depends on it. That might even mean debridement, getting any dead or infected tissue out of there. 2. Hydration. It is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to help the body flush the system. 3. You have to manage that fever. 4. Basic supportive care. Rest. Elevate the wound if you can. And 5. You never ever stop monitoring. So let's put it all together. This isn't just a list of good ideas. This is a protocol, a clear, step-by-step plan of action for when your adrenaline is pumping and you need to act, not just think.
Let me be absolutely clear. The moment you suspect sepsis, there is no wait and see. There is no let's see how they are in an hour. Every single second that passes, the body is taking more damage. The moment you recognize it is the moment you must act. Hesitation is the enemy.
Here it is. Step 1. Identify. You see the signs we talked about and you trust your gut. If something feels catastrophically wrong, it probably is. Step 2. Locate. You find that source wound and you clean it aggressively. Open it, flush it, whatever it takes. Step 3. Flush. You push fluids. They might not want to drink, but they have to. Step 4. Cool. You manage that fever. Don't let their core temperature rage out of control. And step 5. Monitor. Relentlessly. Are they getting better? Are they getting worse? This is your only feedback loop.
Okay, let's bring this all home. The goal of this whole thing isn't to scare you. It's actually the opposite. It's to arm you. To replace that cold, sinking feeling of fear with the quiet confidence that comes from having a plan. So if you remember anything, remember this. Sepsis is a race against time, and recognition is your starting gun.
The pillars of your treatment are simple, but you have to be relentless about them. Clean, hydrate, and cool. And above all else, understand that what is in your head is infinitely more powerful than any antibiotic you could ever stockpile.
I mean, this quote just says it all. Supplies run out, equipment breaks, but knowledge, real, applicable knowledge, is permanent. It weighs nothing, and it's the one tool that no one can ever take away from you.
And that's the question I want to leave you with. It is great to have a well-stocked first aid kit. Absolutely. But the single most important prep you can ever make is to stock your mind. Because when the lights go out for good, that is the only thing you can truly 100% count on.